Hey everyone, welcome to Write With Us. I'm Micah Craddy, as it says below, the head of writing at Arc Studio and Butterdocs. Arc Studio is the app for writing your scripts, and Butterdocs is the app for writing everything else in the world. Whatever else you could possibly write, you can use Butterdocs for it. Before we jump into it, get in the chat and let me know, as usual, where are you? What are you writing today? And our discussion question for this week, our sort of writerly question to get us going, to get the writer juices flowing, is what do you think about for the middle of your stories? So we've talked about beginnings a little bit. We've talked about endings a little bit. What about the middle of your story? Maybe the part that gets overlooked. What are you thinking about as you're developing the middle of your stories? If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, turn notifications on, and give me a like if you like. That's up to you. If this is your first time, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. This is Write With Us. And if you're wondering what it is, what exactly is Write With Us, well, it's a time for you to write. We do 3 writing sprints. We start off with a 15-minute writing sprint, then we do a 25-minute writing sprint, and then at the end, we'll do a 30-minute writing sprint or maybe a 25-minute writing sprint, depending on how we're doing for time. So during those writing sprints, you just work on whatever it is that you've come here to work on, whether that's a novel, a script, a pilot, feature, short story, essays, maybe it's something at your job, it's at your day job, and you're just trying to get some work done, whatever it is. You can work on that. And then in between the writing sprints, I'll answer some screenwriting questions or general writing questions, which you can put in the chat if you want to know. And then during the second break, I will also show the sandwich of the week, which get excited because we've got a new bread dropping today. So really exciting developments in the sandwich world. Great to see everyone in the chat. Welcome everyone. All right, so I'm gonna start off. I'll answer these questions myself. Where am I? I'm in Los Angeles. What am I writing today? Working on this rewrite of a feature, this draft, and I'm in the middle of it. I'm deep in the guts working on it, which is sort of making me think about the middles of stories. So a couple things that I think about for the middle of stories is in the middle of the story, generally, you want your character to be pretty active, right? Something's happened at the beginning, they're going towards an ending, and the middle is when they're doing something, right? They've been set out on whatever their journey is or quest or however you want to think about it. So active characters, definitely one. They're doing something. And one thing that can be helpful in keeping them active is giving them a short-term goal. This is something that Michael Arndt talks about really well. He wrote Little Miss Sunshine, a bunch of other stuff. He was a Pixar writer. He did Toy Story 3. And he has these really great series of YouTube videos where he talks about what he learned at Pixar. It's really fantastic. And I was kind of looking at those, and he was talking about having short-term plans for your long-term goals. So your character wants something, right? That's the big story. They're going after something. But in the middle, you kind of give them a short-term plan, something along the way that will help them get to their goal. So that's something, if they have this plan, something they're trying to do, it really helps them to be active. And then a couple other things for middles: escalation, just whatever's going on, whatever the drama is, escalate it, make it more intense, more dramatic. And then the flip side of that is complications, whatever they want, put complications in their way. And then something else that I just think is really great, and you'll see this in a lot of writing stuff, is the midpoint, some sort of big change, some sort of reversals for the characters, whatever it is, but just in the middle, some sort of big point in the middle where the story kind of revolves around it. I tend to do that. And I tend to see the back half of the stuff I write as a reaction kind of to that midpoint. But everyone, Dylan, welcome. Justin, Madeline, Brooks in DC, Chris, welcome back from Seattle, Samantha in Brooklyn, Paula, North Virginia, Denise, Amy, hello, everyone. Dawn, first time here from, where did you go? Sorry. From Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hopefully you get some good writing done. Hope you have a good time. Andy in London, Natalie from the Bay Area. What's up? Represent Bay Area. Elia, hope to finish the first draft of a new short story tonight. Middle of the story is the hardest part for me. I accept you to suggest. Yeah. There's a lot of things where you can kind of have soggy middles, I feel where where it starts, where you're going, but the middle, and that's where some of those things I was talking about, having your characters being active, giving them sort of plan, some sort of goal, escalating, complicating, and putting some sort of twist in the middle can really help with this. Chris, good question. We can kind of come to that later. Kathy from Chicago, journaling first and hopping back into writing a short film RV in progress. Always thinking, what else went in the middle? Yeah, definitely. What else can you throw at the character? What kind of complications? What kind of escalations can you throw there? Dylan deleted the script. Was working on it because I had hard time with the dialogue, but I'm restarting. Dialogue is something really that I like to think about more in my revisions. Like, I don't worry too much about the dialogue in the first draft. I think you just kind of like get down whatever you need, and then in the revision process, you can really, really like finesse the dialogue here. Justin, yeah, to me, the middle is when the character grows, step forward or backwards. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you can have those both. You can have progress, you can have reversals, but like you've got to keep throwing things at them. Andy's working on a feature, have a rough draft, and I'm going through the fixed areas. Yeah, I mean, writing is rewriting. That's what I'm working on as well today. Ashford in Canada, episode 2 script, my back in the show Bible, and Anshaw finished short film today. Good to have a goal. Good to have a writing goal. Hopefully you get that done. Steve, welcome back. He finished his first book in his sci-fi trilogy, and now he's going into book 2. Way to go. You're just rolling. And Jeff, we're going to rewrite the detective thriller feature. Oh, that sounds cool. I'm a big thriller fan. I'm so glad everyone is here today. I think we're going to have a great writing day. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling it today. I feel like the muses are going to bless us with their presence. And we're going to... Wait, hold on. I need to get rid of this. Sorry, Jeff. There we go. Yeah, we're going to get some great writing done today. Here we go. Hana, Sweden. That's good. We got to get all the continents, or as many continents as we can, covered. So we got North America. We got Africa. We got Europe. Any South America or Asia people here today, or Australia, which is like, I know time zones make some of those less probable. Wait, yeah, here we go. Jesse from India. There we go. That's the Asian continent. For the middle point is it's like where the things are strung together. The characters come to a good place, and there's anticipation. Yeah, you can sort of like have like a moment where you're setting up the end here. Oh, we do have Australia here. Yeah. Oh my, wait. So I'm looking for South America, actually. I feel like that's the only continent perhaps that we're missing, which would be pretty cool. Neri, welcome. We're going to comic book script. Haven't worked in a comic a long time, days. I've never written a comic book script, but it seems like that would be like a fun thing. Do you draw as well? I can't draw at all, which I feel like is like, I tried to do a children's book once, but like, I can't illustrate in comic books. I just feel like it gets frustrated here. Chris, never realized how complicated a story was till you started writing. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Yeah. Ciara, and hey, man, welcome back from Ireland. Trying to add some plot points for the middle, but I feel like I'm running into a wall. Yeah, so when you're running into those walls, I mean, that's where some of these things I talked about can help. What's like a short-term goal that your character can have, a short-term plan that's going to help them get to their goal? What's a big complication or reversal that you can put in the middle of the story to like send things in a new direction? All right, you're not Neri's not drawing either. That's cool though. You're writing the comic book. So is someone else illustrating it? Are you like paying someone, or do you have a friend or a partner or something? I'm always kind of fascinated by different creative processes. All right. I think we should get started with our 15-minute writing sprint. So again, if you've just joined us, we're going to do the first writing sprint, 15-minute. Then we'll take a break. Then we'll do a couple more writing sprints. And I'm going to put a timer up. It'll play some music. And you just work on whatever it is you came here to work on. And then after the break, we'll chat a little more. Again, if you have any writing questions, screenwriting questions, or just general writing questions, put them in the chat. We can talk about them during the next break after this sprint. And the 15-minute writing sprint, it's like very chill. The music is very chill, very laid back. This is like helping us just like get a little bit into the creative zone. It's a little bit of a warm up. You can like read over things, kind of figure out where you are, get into the right headspace, and and then kind of kick things into gear a little higher the next writing sprint. So 15-minute writing sprint. Here we go. I'll see you all on the other side. And I'll be very quiet as we come out of that chill 15-minute sprint. Welcome to everyone who's joined us. This is Write With Us. We're writing here. That was our first writing sprint, 15 minutes. We have 2 more to go. How is everyone doing? Are the muses with us today? What are we struggling with? Feel free to share in the chat. We can get into it a little bit. It started slow with me. I'm sort of in my script facing this like structural problem where I have a new scene I'm inserting that I'm very excited about. It's like very good for the story, but it takes place in a restaurant, and like where it just kind of like naturally lines up in the script is right before another scene that takes place in a restaurant. So it's just like, but they're different characters, different places, and it's very weird. So just kind of like running through all the probabilities of like, all right, just, you know, which scene needs to be in a restaurant, how to change it. And I think kind of just, it's like doing story math sometimes. Like it's not always fun, but sometimes that can actually lead you to new things. Because I was like thinking about one of the things, why is it in a restaurant? Does it need to be there? Is there a more interesting way to do it? So I don't know. Sometimes those problems can and lead to like new solutions. All right. So some other questions that were asked here. Dylan can ask this again. We were talking about middles earlier. So we're like, if you've just joined, our like question of the day is like, what do you think about in the middle of your stories? So Dylan was asking about non-linear stories, and that actually made me think about another piece of advice for middle of stories, which is relevant for like regular linear stories and non-linear stories, and that's to think about what questions is your audience, or what questions are your audience asking along the way, right? So people want to know things in stories, right? Sometimes it's a mystery, who's the killer, et cetera. But sometimes it's just like, how is this going to turn out? Like, what's the consequences of this action going to be? What are they going to do? You know, all these kinds of things. And like people, I mean, that's kind of like, there's this quote that I kind of like, which is that like all stories are mysteries in a way, and they kind of are, you know, to a certain extent, right? In that you're trying to get the answer, you know, there are questions that are being asked, and so in the middle of your stories, there's a risk of your story getting bogged down, and that's especially true for non-linear stories where there's not like a plot, you know, carrying you forward. So really, it can be helpful to be thinking, what questions are the audience asking right now? Can I add something? Can I add some big new thing that they want to answer? Yeah. All right. Let's see. How's everyone going today? Denise is reviewing, seeing what fits, what doesn't. Justin, now I know I struggle to stay focused because I always listen to metal when I write. This music was so chill. That's funny. All right, maybe we can do like a heavy metal day. I don't know. I don't know how the rest of the writers here would feel with heavy metal. Is that conducive to creativity? What do we think here? Ashford, first sprint slow, get the ball rolling up. Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. I don't know. Maybe we'll switch the music up in the first sprint to like pep that up a little bit. But I always feel like it's just like a way to like ease in from like the stresses of the world. Now Samantha's writing a difficult, violent war scene. Those scenes can be tough sometimes, especially if there's like it's emotionally or just like gruesome or something here. Let's see here. Nietzsche, I feel like it's taking me a lot of time to create the plot line. Like I'm just kind of blank a lot of times. Yeah, in those cases, always go back to your characters. Like, what do they want, right? What do they want? Why do they want it? And what kind of complications can you put in their way? Because as people deal with those complications, that's like where drama comes from. And that's kind of which we, you know, where our characters reveal who they are. So always go back to like, what do they want? You know, why do they want it? And what kind of complications can we put in along the way? Yeah, that can be very helpful. Steve, pro heavy metal, but not when writing. Elia, see here, first round pretty good. Hope the muse stays with me. Definitely. Natalie, some advice. If you try to have a different meaning for the restaurant for the different characters. Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm going to do is actually probably move one of them out of a restaurant. It's also kind of like one is a daytime thing, so one's a nighttime thing. And actually it is, I think it's gonna be a different ending. I think like there was one scene that was gonna take place in a restaurant. It was a date, and I think it's actually like, oh, I could have that be at the end of the date kind of a thing. So yeah, sometimes you could just be like, look at a different part of that timeline. Yeah. Cool, guys. All right. What are any other questions here? I love Chris. Let's get ready to write Venom the room. I feel like you got auto corrected there a little bit in your first room here. But Chris was also asking, when should I register my work with the WGA or the Copyright Office? I mean, the easiest answer to that is when you start sending it out to people, right? When it could potentially be stolen. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really worry about my work getting stolen. I think everyone's execution of things is differently. And especially if you're like beginning your career, you want to try to get read as much as possible, because that's a question that gets asked sometimes, is like work getting stolen. So I don't worry about that. But generally, yeah, when you're starting to send it out to people, is a good time to do it here. Jim here, yeah, talking about middles of stories, escalating obstacles, solution of one leads to an even bigger obstacle. I think that's great. Yeah, you more complicated problems, and sometimes it's just like there's one sort of big problem, in the middle. It's helpful if there's like something that's like easy, like it's like a pass-fail situation at times, right? Like your character is either going to accomplish this or not, right? Like it's binary, and those kind of things can be helpful. Oh, I love this question. How to know when to end a scene? I mean, the cheeky answer is when it's done. But a good way to look at scenes, I think, is really helpful, is also, I mean, everything goes back to characters, is, well, there's two ways to look at this. One, why is the scene taking place, right? And oftentimes the answer to that is that the character wants something, right? Usually in a scene, a character has a goal, not necessarily the big goal, but just like something they want in that scene. It could be, breakfast, right? I don't know. It could be to feel comfort. There's a lot of things it could be, but there's something they want in that scene. So the scene starts because they want it. The middle is them trying to get it. And the ending is they succeed or they fail, and that's one way to think about ending scenes, is that the reason for this scene is over now, right? The thing they wanted, they either succeeded or failed, and sort of the consequences of that success or failure, launches us into the next scene. So that is one way to think about ending scenes. I love it. I love the writing. I love the energy. We've got a good turnout. I think we should keep rolling, get into the 25-minute writing sprint. The music picks up a little bit, so hopefully it's not heavy metal, definitely not heavy metal, but it is a little groovier, a little funkier. So we are going to jump now into the second writing sprint. This is the 25-minute one. I feel like this is oftentimes the favorite writing sprint because we're warmed up, but we're not tired. It's that perfect middle ground. So we'll come back after the 25-minute writing sprint, and we'll chat a little more. I'll show you the sandwich of the week, answer any more questions that we have. But we're going to put 25 minutes on the clock, do some more writing, and here we go, 25 minutes. I'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, that takes us over halfway because we've done the first 2 sprints. That's the 25-minute writing sprint done. Is it moving? Are the muses? Have they stayed with us? Did they show up for anyone? Did they leave? Yeah, check in. Let me know how it's going. A couple things in the chat, Alan. I don't know if you're still here, but you mentioned your first presentation script in ButterDocs. Just terrific, fantastic. I'm curious, though, what do you mean by presentation script? Like, was this something for work or something? Let me know in the chat. Dylan was asking about how do you put captions for a character, and then he was saying, for example, like the movie Irishman stops on someone and says how they died. So Dylan, I think, do you mean like basically like what you're saying here, like words on the bottom of the screen? So I'm not sure if you mean a voiceover or words on the screen like this. If you mean voiceover, then you can just put like the dialogue and then VO in the parentheses next to it, and that's someone like saying what happened that's not on the screen. If you mean this, there's a couple ways to describe this. You can have like what's called a chyron, CHYRON, or a lower third graphic, or you can just say like text on screen or something like that. Really, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So let me know if one of those answered your question or not. Madeline had a good question here. As a writer, should you stick to a genre you know or experiment with different genres? So I initially had one answer to this question, and then I thought of a completely contradictory answer to this, and I'm going to give you both. So these are kind of conflicting, and I admit that. I acknowledge that. So instinctively, I say yes. Write whatever excites you. I personally write in a lot of different genres, and I think you should be like led by what you want to write. You're the writer. You're the one who makes the choices about what you're going to write. So yes, my big answer is yes. The one small caveat on that is that there's a difference between writing as like a form of personal expression and like as a career. And as a career, it does help a little bit to establish a brand. So if you're at the point where like people are reading you, you're sending things out to people, you're getting a reputation, it does help if people sort of be like, oh, Madeline, she writes this. She's the funny rom-com woman, or she's the horror blah blah, or she's the elevated horror, like if you have a brand, basically branding kind of is important. But like if you're still figuring out like what that is, then definitely experiment. I think is cool. Experimenting in different genres is fantastic. Because like, I don't know, like I feel like sometimes we're like painters and there's a lot of colors out there and I want to like try them all in a way sometimes. Like the thing I'm writing right now is a little more like of a kind of melodrama than I usually write. And I'm really enjoying that and like finding new things, that I haven't written before and like feel like I'm growing as a writer. And I feel like that's always important, is that we don't want to stagnate. Like we want to keep growing and developing as writers. All right. Martin Not Waves, greetings. I'll be joining the next Write With Us while on a 3-day writing retreat. Any tips on having a productive, worthwhile writing retreat, particularly with screenwriting? Oh, I love this question. I have thoughts. I've kind of recently had a similar thing like this, and I was talking to some writers kind of recently about this, where there's this thing where, like, you have a full-time job or, a family, whatever, lots of responsibilities, and you're used to writing a little bit here and there, carving time out of your schedule. The prospect of having like a big chunk of time is just like so intoxicating. And you're like, oh, I just want that. I want that. And it's great. But when you get there and you sit down on that first day and you just sort of have this time looming in front of you where you're just supposed to write now and there's like no excuses anymore, it can be kind of scary and anxiety inducing. So first off, that's to say that like if you're in that position and you feel that, it's fine. Just kind of like keep your butt in the seat, maybe start free writing a little bit and it'll kind of pass. So just don't be completely surprised if that hits you. But I think there's a couple things. One, when you have so much time like that, it can be like, oh, well, I have all the time to write. And then you just kind of start wasting time and then you don't do anything. So having a schedule can be really good, and having clear goals. What are you there to do? You have this 3-day writing retreat. What do you want to have happened to accomplish or to have accomplished by the end of it? So like having that kind of structure is really good, but then also leaving in time for creativity, time for walks, showers, reading, or watching a movie in the genre. If I'm writing in a specific genre, I love watching a bunch of like movies. in that genre for like the vibe of it and to feel. So balancing some of that creativity with structure. And then there's just like very practical things like leave your phone in another room or like in the car or something if you're in a cabinet. Just like don't have it around you. It's just so easy to pick up your phone and like start doing stuff. So that's that. There's a couple pieces of all right. Elias says sandwich time. Yes, we're about to show the sandwich. Alexa got a few paragraphs in. Nice. Don has a great question. How do I approach character descriptions in scripts? Also, how do you handle doing that when you have multiple characters being introduced in one scene? Yeah. So one thing about character descriptions I like to do is instead of focusing on like physical distribution, like description, it's more like their vibe. But it's basically like what is important that the audience knows about this character or like feels about this character, right? So there was that show Reacher, or is Reacher Amazon, right? And it's like you could say he's huge, right? He's this huge guy. But there's ways of saying that too. And it's like, you know, when he moves through a room, the room moves around him, right? Because he's just like this presence. So like kind of getting the vibe of the character and keeping it brief. And if you're doing multiple characters in one scene, I mean, try not to do too many at once. You know, like you can do 2 or 3 at once, but if you're trying to do like 5 in one paragraph, you know, it can be hard. So it's like basically introduce them when you need to introduce them and like give them something that they're saying or doing, right? That it's not just here's this person, this person, this person, this person, but like try to put it in action. They're doing something, they're saying something. Yeah. RFA, hey man. All right, welcome. Great guys. All right, so here we do. I'm gonna do the sandwich of the week. And drum roll, please. I'm the one. I don't know why I said that. I'm the one who, like in charge of this, but here we go. Sandwich of the week, and that's right, folks. We got a ciabatta. Really excited about these new developments in terms of like mouthfeel and bread texture. But this ciabatta was just like on point. We're rocking turkey, provolone, avocado, sun-dried tomatoes, greens, pickles, mayo, mustard. But it's the ciabatta that's really the star of this show. I mean, what can I say? I'm a bread man. I love me some bread. And this ciabatta did not fail. So let me know what you think. I think this actually, the framing of this photo also looks really well. And like the basket and the bread, just like they go together really well. So anyways, that is the sandwich of the week. We are going to do this again. If this is your first time, if you just stumbled across us, we do this every Wednesday at 1 p.m. I'm going to put the links in the chat to RSVP for next week. And hopefully you will join us because it is, I love seeing you guys all here. Man, my chat's being a little slow, but there we go. Links in the chat if you want to RSVP for next week. Just get it on that calendar. Samantha, love the ciabatta. I agree. I'm with you on this one. Elia looks very complete in all aspects. Aesthetics, taste, smell, nutrients, all in one. It was a well-balanced sandwich, I will say. Yes, that this really, in like the classical form, I feel like this was just like a very solid overall sandwich. So glad you appreciate it. Next week, more writing and a new sandwich. So look forward to that. All right. If we don't have any other questions, Alexa loving the elevated production value. Yeah, I have to say that like Canva, I don't know if you guys who like uses Canva for stuff or for work, but like they just make this kind of stuff so easy. I use it a lot for Arc Studio and Butterdock stuff in terms of like graphics and things. And I love just like finding these little like templates and like inserting my photos into them. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just beautiful. This one's just like very clean. I'm a fan of it. All right, there we go. Okay, well, I think that's enough talking for me. We're going to jump now into the last sprint, the 30-minute writing sprint. If you have to leave, thank you so much for coming. No worries. It's come as you will, leave as you will. We're pretty loose here. But if you leave during this next sprint, I love hearing how it went, what you got done today. It makes my day. So please feel free to say farewell in the chat if you have to head out. And if you're going to stay till the end, that's awesome. We will say our final farewells on the far side of this writing sprint. But let's just like go out on a good note. Let's get focused, locked in, and really try to make some progress on whatever our writing project is today. You know, this is a special time. I feel like you've taken the time, you've carved it out of your calendar to write. You've kind of given yourself that treat. So like take advantage of that treat right now with the 30-minute writing sprint. Catch you guys on the other side. Here we go. with that, we come to the end of the August 14th edition of Write With Us. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I hope you had a great time. I did. Got some good writing done, but I'm like just wrestling with it, like that's writing. Sometimes you make one change and then you just, you got to figure it all out. And sometimes there's no other answer other than just like hard work and effort. But yeah, thank you so everyone for being active in the chat. That's fantastic. Supporting each other, answering questions, asking questions. Great to see everyone who had a good time today. And I will see you all next week if you can make it, August 21st, 1 p.m. same time. And till then, everyone, be kind to yourselves and happy writing. Farewell.